Hey everybody, hope you guys are healthy and safe. So this is the Vivo X200 Pro versus Vivo X100 Ultra video. Now people have been asking me to make this video for a few weeks. I apologize for being late. So there are two things I have to answer right off the bat because people have been asking me all over YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. So the first question is, what about the lens flare problem? So if you don't know, some people have been reporting a lens flare issue with the main camera of the X200 Pro. I believe that is only affecting a small percentage of the unit so far, so it's like a manufacturing defect. Because in my unit, I have had absolutely no flare issue whatsoever. And I spoke to 6, 7 other people with the phones and their unit didn't have the problem too. So it seems to be a minor defect for now, but it's still worth paying attention to. And maybe if you are interested in buying, wait a couple more months until the third batch of products are manufactured. So the second question that a lot of people have been asking since day one, and I wonder too, is the main camera here worse than the main camera in the X100 Ultra? Because there's actually a downgrade in sensor size. The sensor size of the main camera here, it's a 1/1.3-inch image sensor, whereas on the X100 Ultra, it is a 1-inch sensor. And you know, people have been saying, including myself, that sensor size matters. The larger the sensor, the better the camera is, because it's physics. The larger the sensor, the more light you take in, the better dynamic range you have, and the more natural bokeh. That is still mostly true, but I am happy to report that Vivo was not bullshitting when they kept claiming that this new sensor is as good, if not better, than the sensor here, even though it has a smaller sensor size because it is much newer. So the sensor here in the X200 Pro, it's a Sony LYT-818. At the time of me making this video, this sensor is only like 2 or 3 months old, so it is super new. It's like completely new technology. Whereas the Sony LYT-900 sensor in here, it's about a year old. On top of that, the LYT-900 sensor here is built on 40 nanometer architecture, whereas here, the LYT-818, it's built on 20 nanometer architecture. Now in silicon technology, when you're talking about nanometers, the smaller the number, the better. So like Apple's new chips will have 3 nanometer, which is better than the 5 nanometers before. So here, 22 nanometer, it's better than 40 nanometer because there's more transistors that can be put into the image sensor, which gives it more power to do computational photography. After using both of these phones side by side and snapping at least, I want to say 700, 800 photos together, I can say that that is definitely true. So the first thing that I noticed, and you will notice too if you have both phones, is that the camera of the X200 Pro is indeed faster than the X100 Ultra at processing. So for example, if I point the cameras at a harsh backlight situation, like directly out a window with the sun shining through, you'll see that on the X200 Pro, the camera sensor in real time will have adjusted for the challenging scene and applied the proper HDR to find a balance. You'll see that on the X100 Ultra's viewfinder, the lights are blown out through the window, whereas on the X200 Pro, the lights are not blown out because the X200 Pro sensors have already applied real-time computational photography. Now, don't worry, you're an X100 Ultra owner, because if I press the shutter button and take the photo, and then I look at the photos, both images look very similar and they're both perfectly balanced with perfect HDR without any blown highlights. It's just the difference is the X200 Pro can do that processing in real time, whereas the X100 Ultra seems to be doing the processing after the fact. I have to snap the photo first, and then afterwards the phone will take a second or two to process the image to produce a perfectly balanced shot. And you can see that a lot of times, you see that the X100 Ultra will need a second or two to process the image. So it seems like the camera sensor and the ISP here is just a little bit faster all around at handling computational photography. Now the second thing is a larger sensor can take in more light and also produce shallower depth of field. But I have snapped a lot of side-by-side photos and I really cannot see the difference in terms of light intake, nor can I see any significant stronger bokeh in the X100 Ultra shot. Like, look at these side-by-side samples. They really look mostly identical, except the X200 Pro's camera is just a little bit faster. So a lot of times if I'm taking a picture of something that's moving, you see that that subject, it's a little bit later in the movement on the X100 Ultra shot compared to the X200 Pro, because the shutter here is just a little bit faster. Now moving on to zoom photography, the X200 Pro gets that awesome zoom lens in the X100 Ultra. It's a 200 megapixel periscope zoom lens with a 1/1.4 inch image sensor. Absolute best zoom hardware on the market. Look at the photos. They are pretty much neck and neck. I mean, they're the exact same hardware, so I see no real difference other than the fact that, again, sometimes the X200 Pro's processing just seems a little bit more mature, a little bit more balanced. I don't think the X200 Pro is worse than the X100 Ultra in any way. So even though the sensor size did get smaller, it didn't suffer because it is a newer sensor built on faster 22 nanometer architecture. Now, where the X200 Pro wins a little bit more, it's in video recording. Now, standard videos, both phones are about the same. Okay, you're watching main camera footage with the Vivo X200 Pro and the Vivo X100 Ultra. So this is main camera footage right now, and the audio you're hearing is coming from the internal mic of the phone. So you're watching 4K 30 with both phones right now, 4K 30. So now we'll switch out to the ultra wide. So now you're watching ultra wide. And then we'll do the 3.7x zoom. So just handheld right now. I'm gonna keep still for a second. But the X200 Pro can shoot in 10-bit log. The X100 Ultra can shoot in log also, but it is not as high quality as the log footage in X200 Pro. But I want to say probably 85% of people out there do not shoot in log, so this does not really matter. Now, if you do shoot in log, the X200 Pro will give you a little bit higher quality raw video files, so there's more room for you to play with when you're doing color grading. Another area the X200 Pro is a little bit better than the X100 Ultra is in battery life, because you have a 6,000 milliamp hour battery here compared to a 5,500 milliamp hour battery. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the X100 Ultra's battery life is very good, more than satisfactory for me. But this guy, it's excellent. Not quite as good as the iPhone. That's still the absolute best battery life I've tested on a mainstream phone. But this is a phone that I can go out all day and not worry. I recently went to Japan, and when I'm in Japan, I'm outside all day walking like 15 hours a day. And I take a lot of photos, and this guy would not run out of battery before my day finished. And then finally, we can look at the hardware. So the X200 Pro has a relatively new design for an Android phone. It has a flatter display, still subtly curved on all four sides, but it's not a drastic curve on the left and right side like the X100 Ultra or most Android phones in the last like 6 or 7 years. And this is a welcome change in my opinion, because I said this when I reviewed this guy. I said that this kind of curved left and right side design is starting to feel a little bit dated, and I want phones to go in the direction of not like the iPhone, but more like the Xiaomi 14 Pro with the quad curved screen, and that's exactly what Vivo did. I love that you have a wider frame, so you can kind of grip onto it a little bit easier. And the screen is a little bit flatter, but it is still a little bit curved at the side, so that when you're running your finger from the side or the bottom, you're still running your finger through curved edge, not like a 90-degree hard angle like on a Google Pixel phone. So I guess so far, the X200 Pro has won every category. But does that mean if you have the X100 Ultra, you need to upgrade to the X200 Pro? I would say no, because the improvements are relatively minor, because unless you shoot a lot of log footage, everything I just mentioned, the slightly better battery life, the slightly faster camera image processing, all that is minor, and it's not gonna make or break your usage experience. Like if you have this phone, you don't really need to upgrade. This is still an epic phone with absolutely one of the best cameras out there. Like right now, if you ask me for which phone has the best camera, I would have to give it to the X200 Pro. But then the X100 Ultra is right behind it, like neck and neck. We're not even talking about like 1 is here and 2 is here. We're talking about like neck and neck like this. So you don't need to upgrade. Now, if you are using the X100 Pro, then this guy is worth a look, because this is a big upgrade over the X100 Pro. In addition to the better zoom lens, you also have a better design, much better battery life, and a better screen, all of that. So if you're on the Pro, worth an upgrade. If you're on the Ultra, no need to upgrade. So yeah, that's about it for this video. Now, I will get my hands on the Oppo Find X8 Pro very soon. So maybe that phone could be a challenger to this guy. We will see. You know, there's an uphill battle to climb for Oppo. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing to my channel. It will help me a lot. Thanks for watching.